Good Tuesday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Looking at the calendar, on Thursday's midday show, Joel Panorwood sits down with Jeff Jospel, a Grow Next Gen teacher leader and science teacher at Fort Jennings High School, to discuss soil and water quality in the classroom, brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and soybean farmers. Looking at some of your agricultural news headlines, Senate Agriculture Committee Chairwoman Debbie Stabenow, a Democrat from Michigan, on Monday released the text of the Farm Bill she hopes can get through Congress before the end of the year and push back on Republicans she sees as stalling on the effort. Stabenow is retiring at the end of this Congress, and her decision to release the text is a signal that she still hopes Congress will pass a Farm Bill before it adjourns, or at least put her detailed 1,397-page proposal on the table. Congress has a lot to do before it adjourns, including passing a measure to fund the government, the National Defense Reauthorization Act, as well as dealing with disaster aid. The prospects for passing a farm bill appear slim. Now let's join Dale for an industry update from the National Farm Broadcasters Convention.
Joining me, Ron Calhoun from Nutrien Ag Solutions. We've been talking a good bit off the air about the transition from years ago and what we looked at and maybe tested to today's biologicals. What's the latest and greatest you can share?
Well, next week we're going to be introducing a new nitrogen management product called Infinity, which is a product designed to improve your nitrogen use efficiency in your crop by creating some supplemental N in the root system. And we're doing that through direct fixation of nitrogen, recruiting additional nitrogen fixers to the root zone, and liberation of soil organic pools of N. So going at it with a 3 mode of action approach.
How do we apply? Is this something we're spraying, putting in the row? How does it work?
Yeah, it's going to be very convenient. So this is a product that can get mixed with your in-furrow nutrition and be applied right at time of planting. So the timing is at plant, but as you think about it, it's part of your nitrogen budget for the season. I also think that you could apply this side dress like with Y-Drop.
I've been visiting with Ron Calhoun from Nutrien Ag Solutions.
Thanks, Dale. And to hear this full interview, check out the featured audio at ohioagnet.com. Well, ethanol output rose to a record high in 7 days that ended on November 8th, according to data from the Energy Information Administration. Production jumped to an average of 1.113 million barrels per day, the agency said. That's up from 1.105 million barrels a week earlier and the highest since record-keeping began in 2010. In the Midwest, by far the biggest production region, output increased to 1.05 million barrels per day, and that's the highest since October 29th of 2021. Now let's check in with Dave Russell for this week's Between the Rows.
Time now for this season's final Between the Rows, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. Jeff Ray in Union County says there are some practices in 2024 that they'll think about as they plan for 2025, beginning with planting dates.
Obviously, we can't really pick and choose all the time when we want to do it. The earlier stuff that we planted really didn't work out that well, but I think it was just due to the rainy weather we had after it was planted, and it didn't really do it any favors. But most of the stuff we got planted mid-May, and that stuff seemed to work out really well, and it really looked good going into harvest too. So I think, mid-May is just generally the perfect date to get everything in.
When it comes to soil fertility in 2025?
Well, we usually do grid sampling, and so we try to every couple of years we try to do some build up in fertility to try to even it out. We don't do all of it in one year. We maybe do a certain amount of acres, and we've been doing that for several years so that we can just kind of maintain that fertility.
Jeff Ray in Union County, and that's this week's Between the Rows, brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct. I'm Dave Russell.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at today's weather after this.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. #1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, I'm Greg Peterson of the Peterson Farm Brothers. If you've seen our videos, you know we're proud to be farmers. Farming can be dangerous. Never assume location or depth of underground utilities or pipelines. Before you start any work on your farm, call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com to have underground lines located. It only takes a minute and can save your life.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Now let's check out today's weather, which is brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Some moisture working through Ohio today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. Here in Ohio, we're going to be dealing with a frontal boundary sliding through. Rain showers from this morning through probably early afternoon before we dry slot. I think we can pick up anywhere from 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch across 80% of the state. Behind this, we do see the dry slot taking control this afternoon and tonight. Temperatures don't fall off immediately, but west winds transition to north winds for tomorrow, and that's where our cold air really starts to get going. Temperatures drop, and we're going to be dealing with wraparound backside moisture getting wrung out in this cold air. So I think we have another round of scattered showers that tries to develop tomorrow midday and afternoon, and then we see on again, off again rain and wet snowflake activity through Thursday and Friday. Wet snowflakes mostly limited to areas near the Great Lakes. The rest of us are going to be seeing, I think, just spits and sprinkles and a few rain showers, but I won't rule out wet snowflakes anywhere at this point in time from tomorrow afternoon through Saturday morning. Now, Saturday afternoon, I think we dry down a little bit. Temperatures stay chilly. Sunday, we start to see some temperature moderation. Going into next week, we have hit and miss scattered showers around Monday and Tuesday. Showers and thunderstorms in southern parts of Ohio Wednesday. We take a break for Thanksgiving Day, at least to start, before rain comes back overnight Thanksgiving night through Friday. So next week in Ohio, it looks pretty doggone wet to me. Combined for the week, we could be picking up anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of liquid. We follow that up with a very chilly finish to the month of November. Saturday the 30th, strong north winds take temperatures down. And December 1st, we are below normal again. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, yesterday, the USDA Weekly Crop Progress Report came out. Let's take a look at those numbers. The Ohio Crop Progress Report update is sponsored by AgriSpray Drones, empowering rural America through complete spray drone solutions. You can contact them at agrispraydrones.com/Arnold Precision. Starting with the national numbers, not a whole lot to report. Winter wheat was at 94% planted and 84% emerged. Winter wheat condition was rated 49% good to excellent, up 5 points from 44% the previous week. Now looking at your numbers from the Buckeye State, topsoil moisture condition was at 54% short to very short. The average temperature for the week was 46.7 degrees, and that is 5.9 degrees above normal. There were 4 days suitable for field work. As for winter wheat, it was rated at 94% emerged this week. That is up 8 points over last week, is the same as last year, and 2 points ahead of the 5-year average. As for the crop condition, winter wheat was rated 59% good to excellent. Well, to save money, farmers are switching to generic inputs. U.S. farmers struggling with slumping incomes and depressed grain prices have been switching to cheaper generic pesticides and fungicides as they plan for spring planting next year, which market analysts say could hit the bottom lines of ag chemical companies. Signs of these financial impacts are already emerging. Bayer shares fell sharply to a 20-year low last week after the chemical company warned that weak global agricultural markets and the slumping U.S. farm economy are likely to pressure profits further. Analysts say that ag chemical competitors Syngenta, Corteva, and BASF could also face challenges in the sector. Midwestern distributors and grain elevators say they have already been seeing customers cutting back on their spring pesticide and herbicide budgets. The price of farmland has been on an extended increase for several years, but that may be slowing. Randy Dickhout, the farmland specialist with Agricultural Economic Insights, says he's noticing slower sales activity at the end of 2024.
That's what I think seeing out in most places in the country. There still are some very strong sales and prices, but in general, different states, different areas, since middle of the year or even before, the prices have been softening, what's paid at auction or listing prices. So it just makes sense with the way the commodity prices and the grain production side of things have been going. We're seeing that, prices went up a lot for several years, and now it's kind of time to soften and see what's going to happen.
but there is still significant demand for high-quality farmland.
Absolutely. What's held the land market as strong as it is for this length of time is that supply and demand. The supply has been a little bit on the lower side than sometimes the last few years and more recently, and then the demand has been good. Farmers had a couple of good years. They had cash, wanted to buy that farm that came up for sale. Investors would, but they kind of backed off because of the higher prices and interest rates and stuff. But still, there's the supply-demand balanced out, and then kind of helped hold the land prices up.
That was Randy Dickhout of Agricultural Economic Insights. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at the grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
In a time of tight margins when every penny counts, could you be saving more on your monthly energy bill? Ohio Farm Bureau is here to help members get competitive electric and natural gas supply prices through its Energy Savings Program. Participants save an average of 10% on their rates. Let Ohio Farm Bureau help you take the guesswork out of energy savings. Request your free bill analysis at ofb.ag/energy program. Savings not guaranteed. Actual savings may vary.
Do you know where the kids are?
Yeah, they're just right over there.
A child dies in an agriculture-related accident every 3 days. Every day, at least 33 kids are injured. 60% of them were not working when they were injured. Let's make sure the next generation is safe. No children are safe before moving equipment. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
Let's check in with Matt Reese for this week's podcast.
On this week's Ohio AgNet podcast, we take a look at one of the top issues facing Ohio agriculture, and that is farmland preservation. Be sure to check it out at ocj.com or wherever your podcasts are found.
Hey, thanks, Matt. It's now time for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, and that's brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished out Monday on a high note, led by double-digit gains in the wheat market. A little bit of a surprise here, at least to old Ryan Martin, as we dig into what the markets went through. Yesterday was mostly about geopolitical risk and headlines. The wheat bounced early on the Black Sea geopolitical problem, if you recall, on Sunday, or maybe it was even Saturday. But President Biden had authorized Ukraine to be able to use long-range U.S. or American-made weapons to go into Russia with attacks, and that's really spurred on some concern about where wheat may come from in world tenders. Black Sea may not be a reliable source. Now, let me tell you this. Anytime that we've seen anything out of this Russia-Ukraine war hit the wheat markets, it does not last long term. So I expect this one to be similar. I expect where there is a will, there is a way. There will be a will to get Russian wheat out of Russia through the Black Sea, and so I don't look at this as long-term. But it spooked the market higher on Monday. The wheat market pulled corn along for the ride. And then when you take a look at the bean market, it got into the game late in the trading session, getting some double-digit gains nearby. As we move into some more of that geopolitical risk, the drone and missile attack on Ukraine, followed by Biden's decision, really put millers, bakers, importers, and short sellers on notice. The Russians see the use of long-range missiles as a provocation of war by NATO. No one knows what the next steps are here, but it definitely is one thing to watch. Soy futures became focused on South American weather and crop sizes. The bets are increasing that Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina could enjoy near or better than normal growing seasons. That coming about because apparently the slowing of the cooling in the Pacific is real, and so everybody thinks now La Nina may be stalled or delayed. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Looking at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. December corn $4.29 1/4, no change. March corn $4.39 1/2, down 1/4. January soybeans $10.08 3/4, down a penny. March soybeans $10.17, down 2 cents. December wheat $5.47 1/2, up 1/4. Now looking at livestock from yesterday's close, December live cattle $184.10, up $1.15. February live cattle $185.97, up 72 cents. December lean hogs $80.02, up 52 cents. February lean hogs $83.27, up 37 cents. January feeder cattle $249.50, up $2.27, and March feeder cattle $248.62, up $2.97. December Class 3 milk, 1955, up 23 cents. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone. This is the Ohio AgNet.